Well, good morning. This is the International Auto Show in Frankfurt 2015, the biggest car show in the world. My name is Sascha Pallenberg, and I'm delighted to present to you Barb Samardzich from
morning.
Ford. Good morning, Barb.
Wonderful to be here with you.
And Professor Bartholdy. Good morning.
There. Good morning.
We're going to talk a little bit about the challenges companies are facing in terms of mobility. And now it's getting an interesting twist because we're also going to talk about how gamification will play a huge part in this. So let's start with you, Bob.
Sure.
Can you give us a little bit of an idea on what challenges we're facing in terms of mobility?
Sure. We started looking at trends, and we noticed 4 trends that are going to have a very big influence on mobility in the future. The first is urbanization. Today there's maybe 28 cities with 10 million people or more, mega cities. By 2030 there'll be over 40. And that urbanization is going to bring a lot more congestion, a lot more people into cities. And a lot of those people, this is the second trend, are really emerging into the middle class. And as people enter the middle class, they're going to naturally want the trappings of the middle class, if you will. They'll want a car. Again, more car, more congestion. That congestion, as we well know, is bringing increasingly severe pollution and air quality issues, and that ultimately result in health issues into cities. So that's the third trend we're seeing. And the fourth is really a little bit about what we're talking today with gamification. It's the connectivity and the way consumers are changing their interfacing with their world around them, with their whole infrastructure and with their friends. And that connectivity is really the fourth trend we see, that changing consumer needs. So all 4 of those add up to say we've got some big challenges ahead of us in mobility.
So it's pretty fair to say that our cities and our environments are changing fundamentally. Give us a little bit of an idea of what's Ford's role in this and how you're going to tackle this.
So as we saw these trends emerge, we said we've got to understand what mobility looks like in the future. So to do that, we started 25 different experiments globally. We had 7 of them in Europe, we had 8 of them in the US, the rest scattered around the globe. And they were designed to test different modes of transportation and different transportation options. Now, we started that at the beginning of this year, late last year, and as we enter into the end of this year, what we're finding is 2 areas that we really want to concentrate on. One is flexible ownership models, and the second is really what we call a multimodal urban transport system. So those are the 2 areas out of the 25 that we've been focused on that we now want to really understand what the different business models look like there, the different transport systems, as well as what Ford, our role, is going to be in those systems.
I mean, we're sitting here on a car show, and I said it already during our intro, we're going to talk about gamification.
Yes.
So it's kind of interesting how you're building this bridge over to the gaming community. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Well, we talked about the challenges that we're facing with transportation going forward. It just seems natural for us to go to gamers. They love a challenge, no doubt about that. They love to solve problems. So we actually thought it was a very natural relationship, and we've done it in the past, to turn to them to say, hey, how would you solve these problems? How would you focus your energies?
So let's talk to you, Björn, as a professor, and you're also part of Game Lab in Cologne, right?
Exactly. We're part of the Cologne University of Applied Sciences, and we're on the Game Lab where we do research on digital games and we educate people to be game designers.
So tell us a little bit about those challenges and how you're teaming up here.
Well, actually the challenges in terms of the competition is that we like to involve people that come from game education and people that are kind of related to these topics, and we want to bring them in the competition and think like cross-thinking the whole topic and coming up with new visions on how to tackle the problems.
Sure. What you guys can see in the background, there's an amazing simulator, so whenever you hear a little bit of an engine sound, I was kind of hoping that we could have done this interview in the simulator, right? Because that would be just the perfect merger of everything,
That would have really been forward-thinking. I agree with you. Yeah.
This would be one way of how you could get involved into this gamification, but just tell us how people in general can get involved in this.
I mean, games are already part of our everyday life, and they're, as the mobile devices that we carry around with us are getting stronger and stronger, we're carrying the game devices with us. And one of the recent trends is location-based gaming, looking from geocaching to Ingress, the big Google game. This becomes more and more popular. So we think that especially using these mobile devices, using the geodata that you're generating all the time, accessing the data stream that is generated by traffic that comes from the cities, is giving us a very good environment to use these data and integrate it into complex systems. This is what games are. We set up rules, we use complex systems, and then we try to engage the players and generate some kind of fun. In this topic that we're talking about here, of course, it also makes sense. So it's not only fun, but it's also helping to have a more seamless traveling in the cities, to avoid traffic jams, for instance, to be more ecological, and to interconnect the different modes of transport.
And how important is this also to team up with a company like Ford? Because I know, like 4 years ago, you already started with an open SDK. You were reaching out to the developers community. You've been the first ones to do that, and been really leading the market. And when I look around here at IAA, I have to admit that even the German car manufacturers, and I'm German, right, can't really catch up here. Is this a huge advantage, and were you just making the kind of next step to kind of bring this together with a new sort of developers?
Well, I think we recognized very early that given the challenges we faced, we weren't going to have the expertise just within Ford Motor Company to solve those and to bring the solutions to the table. So we reached out to partners, and a lot of those partners were developers, software developers, app developers. So again, that's why it was natural for us to reach out to the gaming community to help us continue on this journey. But partnerships are going to be crucial to solving these challenges. There is no one company that's going to be able to do it by themselves.
Yeah. And what about you? Is this the very first time that you guys are getting in contact or getting connected to the automotive industry?
Mobility is the first time that we got involved with, but in terms of serious gaming, that's becoming a more and more important part for game developers in terms of education, in terms of issues of the societies, and we more and more use game systems to change things. And so for us, it's another topic. And as game development is a very interdisciplinary process, we have the game designers that are kind of the conceptualists, we have the programmers, so we have technical people as well, and we have artists. So it's like a very different views on the topic, and therefore I think we're very good prepared to tackle the problem.
It's also a good way to share experience. I know your program that you're doing for the Forza Motorsports game, right? How your developers are working together with the developers of this game, that is just a great exchange.
Yeah, and again, it's not just developers, it's our studio personnel are working with the gamers to develop these things, the artists, if you will, at Ford.
Well, I have to admit, I'm a huge gamer, but at least in terms of racing games. So once again, I'm looking at the simulator and just can't wait to try it out a little bit later. Just give us an idea. I mean, we're talking about gamification in a car. Some people might think, oh my God, I don't want anyone to drive at 100 miles on a highway and play Flappy Birds or anything, right? This is about setting standards and also security standards, right?
Yeah, that's very important. And we take very seriously making sure that data is protected, that our data integrity is maintained, etc. And no, we're definitely not talking about playing games while you're driving down the road. This is about using people who are inherently focused on thinking very laterally and thinking for solutions out of the box to help us find out what kinds of things they could come up with to help us with the challenges that we're facing as an automotive manufacturer.
So obviously we are at the very beginning, at the very start of a whole new age of how the automotive world gets connected to somehow a little bit of the virtual world, of the digital world. And I'm really looking forward to see what Ford and you guys are providing us in the very near future, maybe at IAA 2017?
Maybe. Absolutely.
Well, Barb, Björn, thank you so much for joining us over here today, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great day.